Welcome to the Madison Podcast. This is really my podcast, but Ben Lavender's been hosting it. And so I decided today, in honor of Skylar Welch being in here in New York, that I would actually be the host of today's podcast. So Skylar Welch, welcome to New York.
Thank you.
Welcome to Madison Mortgage as I knock my tea over.
Excited to be here today.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. So it's kind of a historic podcast today because actually, this Thursday is the 1-year anniversary of Skylar sort of partnering up with us, with Madison Mortgage, and forming, Maine Pointe Lending. And so we wanted to do this podcast and kind of highlight it, get a download of kind of what's going on, and talk a little bit about sort of what's transpired. So about a year ago, or actually, I guess about a year and a half ago, we started talking.
Can you even believe it's been that long?
I know, it's crazy. I remember having conversations in like the middle of COVID, and you just kind of expressing that you were looking to, maybe make a change and looking for the right partner to do it with. And I was like, "You sure you don't want to like do your own thing, and I'll help you?" And you were like, "I have no interest in running a brokerage. I'd rather partner up with somebody great to help me." And sort of, it was that was the start of it. And so here we are, nearly a year and a half after that conversation. We partnered up, and so for those of you who don't know, Skylar owns and runs Maine Pointe Lending, which is a division or a subsidiary of Madison Mortgage. And so we decided about a year and a half ago to partner up, and formally did a year ago. And so it's been a fun journey, right?
It has. It's been great. And I think that it's important to know your strengths. And when we had our first conversation, I knew my strengths. And I was like, I am not HR. I am not payroll. I'm not compliance. I'm not tech. I'm not all of those things, but I can produce, and I know I can produce. And I think that was really important to realize, is that if I had to do all of those other things, I wouldn't be the best version of myself as a producer. And that's what I was looking for, is someone that would allow me to produce, that will allow me to focus on building a team that could produce and provide the best experience for our buyers and for our real estate agents, and be able to focus on that while the other things were kind of handled behind the scenes that I knew that those weren't my strengths. I'm never going to fire anybody.
Totally. And I think that's kind of why it was a great match, right? Because those kind of are my strengths. And I was looking to partner up with people who could do that. And I was always of the opinion, like, I'm never going to do a branch. Never. I'm never going to do it. I'm not into branches. But then Skylar came along and sort of changed my perspective a bit. So it's been a great year.
It has been.
Congratulations to both of us.
Yeah, it's been a really great year, and it's been a building year. Yeah. It's been a lot. I mean, we've hired so many fresh green people, and so many people that we're learning every day. People are learning. And I look at what our goals were this year, and our goals were really we have volume goals, we have unit goals, we have all these things which we're going to hit, but at the same time, it's like our real goal was to be able to build a team that could handle the volume and handle the increase in volume, and be able to work together as a team and have a really smooth process. I mean, those are really the goals of this year. Those were the main goals of like putting all of the pieces together to make a really great functioning team. And we've been doing that. Totally.
And I think that's like, part of it, right? Is like we had this sort of approach to say, like, you were coming over with someone that you had, Vanessa, with you, and you were like, I want to build this team, and you had some very defined goals coming in, right? Saying, I want to do these things, and it was just about like, how do we execute that, right? And we took this really, I think, a really intelligent approach to sort of saying, we're not going to go out there and just try and find people that already have tons of mortgage experience, but rather we'll find really great people, and then we'll teach them our system and our way of doing things.
Exactly.
And it's been really successful, and it's put us in a position to have really good foundation for what we're going to do now and the things that we're going after. And so different marketing campaigns, like you've been exclusively like purchase, referral, hardcore,
100%.
And
past client refis only.
Exactly.
And 100% referral, real estate, realtor referrals. I mean, that's where I've grown my business over these last, 10 years. That's all I've ever done. Yep. And now it's the point where I know we have the team that can handle more volume. Yeah. We're consistently doing the same volume every single month. And it's like, okay, now we're at the point where we could turn on another source. And now it's just about learning how to do that and learning how to best be able to execute all of those. And, I know we have the capability now.
Yeah, for sure we do. And it's always a learning process like everything else in life, right? And so it's cool that we're launching our consumer direct exactly, a year into
it's exciting.
Into the sort of grand opening of Maine Pointe Lending. So it's totally exciting. I'm excited about it. So share with some folks sort of the experience for you in terms of like what your challenges were coming in prior to sort of forming Maine Pointe Lending, right? And sort of how your experience has been and what you've sort of learned during that journey.
Yeah, I think that's really important because I think that a lot of brokers are at the point where I am actually is, where I was I was at my breaking point. I was at the point where I was working 17-hour days. I have 3 small kids. Like I wasn't there for dinner. I wasn't there when they woke up in the morning. I wasn't there to put them to bed. I would get home, I would eat, and then I'd go in my bed and I'd work until 2 a.m. every single day. And by August of every year, I was literally ready to walk out and be like, I need a break. Yeah. I'm going to mentally break down if I can't do this. Yeah. But I'm also not the type of person that's ever going to say, oh, I'll just do less volume. Like it's really, truly not in me. No. So I had to figure out a way that I could continue to grow my business, continue to grow my relationships, continue to grow my business, but not be at that breaking point every year. So this August was such a pivotal point in my life because end of August of this year, we turned on leads.
Yeah.
Last August, I walked out of my office and said, I'll be back in a week and please nobody call me. Like I need this time with my kids. This August I said, let's crank it up more. Let's do more. But it's because I'm home for dinner every night now. I'm not working until 2 a.m. every morning. I'm at my kids' dance and football practice and all of the things are really important because your kids are only little once. And I think that it's really important to realize, like, I was doing a lot of business at my own company. I worked with great people. I had, we were doing a lot, but we were at the point where it's like, I couldn't take any more on my shoulders. And you have to sometimes tell yourself, you can't do everything. And if you want to continue to grow, you have to scale. And that's really where we're at now. And I remember walking into the office the first time and I was going and looking at all these offices and I was like, can we just like cut this office in half? There's only like 2 of us. Like, I don't know. Like, can you build a wall there? I was literally saying this to them and I'm like on the phone with Shah and I'm like, I think it's too big. Like, I don't know. And then we're sitting there at this table and I'm like, what are we going to do in here? Like, there's like this big space. Like, what are we going to do with this? And then you just have to change that mindset of like, we're not going to be just the 2 of us for very long. Nope. We're not going to be because we have bigger goals and we have bigger visions and we know we're going to be able to do that. So it was just a point where you have to switch your mindset and not limit yourself because I think for so long, I wasn't purposely limiting myself because I was continuing to do more and more and more, but I was limiting myself in my life, in my day-to-day life, in my how I was as a wife, how I was as a parent, how I was in all these things. I wasn't sleeping, like I was doing all those things, but it wasn't healthy for
You had
anything.
No balance whatsoever.
There was zero balance.
It was like no life balance. It wasn't enjoyable.
It wasn't. Yeah. And you can close as many deals as you want and make as much money as you want, but if you're not enjoying your life, then what's the purpose? So, and so that's where this partnership has been so amazing because I've been able to do that and I've been able to be more present and I'm not burned out and I want to do more. And, if I would have continued to go at the stage that I was, give me 5 years, I'd be done. You can't.
You almost seemed burned out when you were ready to make the leap. Just your nature was that like, I'm going to get better. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to, so it's like you were like, I'm going to make the leap.
I was exhausted. I was very exhausted and it wasn't anyone's fault. It was just to the point where like I'm extremely driven in a way that I wanted to keep doing more, but I didn't have the infrastructure to do so.
I think your former company was great. It was good for you during that time
definitely.
Period. You just outgrew it.
Yeah.
And they knew it too upon your exit, so they were okay about it. And so it's, just a function of sort of how life goes in different chapters. And so it's fun. I think, what's funny for me is like the measuring stick, because one of your goals coming in was like, I want to be able to go on a vacation with my family. And I actually remember when we were talking and you went on a vacation.
I did.
And you were calling me like my phone's blowing up nonstop. No one's doing anything. And I was like, I was literally jumping in and helping you. I felt so bad. You were like away with your kids and there was a storm and
it was crazy.
It was. And so I think one of the great measuring sticks for me was now you've gone away like twice.
Yeah.
And I remember that first week you went away, I was like, all right, let's make sure everything's cleared. We're on top of everything before you go. Your whole processing team was like all about like, she's going to be away next week.
Everybody was like, she needs this. And
so we were all excited about it.
Everybody was excited. And it honestly was, it was such a pivotal point in my life because in my kids and my husband, I didn't open my laptop for 9 days.
I know.
I haven't done that in 10 years. I didn't even log into, I don't even know I didn't even log into Wi-Fi. Like, I don't do that. And at that moment, I was like, I can do this because when I came back, everything was fine. Everything closed. Everything that needed to be done was done. That is such a pivotal point in someone's life when you haven't had that for 10 years. Yeah. And I hadn't had a legit vacation where I wasn't working the entire time, where I could be like, hey, go have fun in the pool. I'll be on my laptop, you know? But everyone knew that all my real estate agents knew who to call. Everything was taken care of. Every email was answered. All of those things. That
you had the team.
That's a different measurement. You know, like you can measure like money and success and units and goals. But if you can also measure time and experiences and things like that, that's really what we're living for, you know?
Totally. And it's like, it's hard because I think a lot of like top producing LOs, and I was one for a while before I stopped originating, but it's like the balance is always the challenge.
It's hard.
You feel like you're working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so what tips would you give to like other LOs who are in that stage or approaching that stage who are maybe not closing as much volume as you are, but they're still experiencing that, you know,
I mean,
besides go join a great company, but like what tips would you give them to sort of how to achieve better life balance?
I mean, I think that I was so controlling in a way that I didn't delegate. I didn't delegate at all. I was so afraid. I mean, I still have that in me. Yeah. Everybody knows.
It's hard. It's hard to release. No, it's hard to release.
Yeah. But I was so micromanaging every single thing to the point where I had to touch every single document. I had to collect every single condition. I had to have every single conversation. And it's because I didn't have anyone that I could trust to do that. I didn't feel like I had someone that I could be like, oh, call this borrower. They want to refi, work it out for them. I never trusted anyone to do that. Yeah. You need to find someone or multiple people, depending on your volume, find people to scale that you can trust, that work like you do, that have strengths. But honestly, like Mile Away has very different strengths than I do. We couldn't be more opposite, honestly. But she's everything that I'm not, you know? And you have to find someone that balances you. She's so organized, so like has everything figured out, like sends me emails all day. You didn't miss this one. You didn't respond to this one. You didn't, you know, like those are the things I need because I'm all over the place. Like I'm like called, like I'm like so.
Staying on top of you to make sure you're, you're staying in the game.
And you need to find people that balance you as a team. So making sure, I mean, for us, like our first hire was a marketing person.
Yeah.
That's like people say that to me all the time. People are like, you opened a new office and your first hire was a marketing guy? I'm like, yeah, but I walked in being like, I have all these marketing ideas.
I know.
I was like full of like,
I know.
I literally, before I even left anything, I had a whole list of all these marketing ideas I had and all the ones that I wanted to execute. And that was my first thing I wanted to do. But I knew that was such an important thing because for me, like I wanted to provide value to my agents. I wanted to provide, I know that everybody, you know, I know I have great real estate agent relationships, but I know that there are people walking in behind me every single time trying to take that business. So I knew that if I wanted to take my business to the next level, I needed to figure out ways that I was continuously adding value to them and adding value to those relationships, helping them grow their business because ultimately that's what's going to solidify that referral business. So
let's talk about that. Touch on some of that for some of the people that are listening. That we could add value to them. Like if you guys don't know Skylar Welch, you're going to know, but like she is full of ideas. Literally before we even launched our partnership, she had an entire list. We had a written list of all these marketing ideas. Yeah. And we were like, marketing hire first. Yeah. So give them some good ideas that you can share that would be helpful.
Definitely. Like we have so many awesome things that we've been doing. And the number one tip about all of that is being consistent with it. Yes. So we have a schedule that we follow every single week. But we do things as far as like I do video, providing things for my buyers, tips, things like that. But more importantly, how we provide value to our real estate agents are, well, every single month we'll do a realtor value session where we are creating content. We're bringing in professionals from outside resources, whether it's an appraisal or a business coach or marketing or how to create video content on your cell phone or whatever it is. But we're providing that class for that real estate agent. During COVID, all of the quarantine, everything. We were having 40, 50 people come to these classes over Zoom. And now we've started doing them in person. We created an awesome training room where we have real estate. We're doing a CE class this week. We had a first-time homebuyer seminar last week. We're bringing our partners into this and doing this for them. But we're also creating a lot of content for our real estate agents. Yeah. So it's really amazing. So we set up an awesome social media room. We bring them in. It's an experience for them. Yeah. And we interview them, find out information about them, what sets them apart, and create content for them. So my marketing guy, makes all kinds of content, provides that content for them to use on their social media to grow their business. Yeah. We're also going out and shooting listing showcases every single week for these real estate agents. So it's something that's going to highlight that listing, professional content, but we're also highlighting them at the same time. What sets this agent apart? What's going to make sellers want to work with this agent? And we're providing that content again to them. We're going out in the community. We have an agent that works in the Lakes region. He hopped on a boat, went out and went around the boat, around the whole lake with her, did all kinds of filming with her and showing like, hey, awesome. I work on Sebago Lake. I want to sell your Sebago Lake house. Like, here's why. Here's what I can provide. We have people that focus in downtown. He's downtown, walking the streets, talking about the little shops, going in the coffee shop with them. We're doing a lot of local business highlights. So he's going into the community and we're promoting these businesses, but at the same time, like, I just got a couple of referrals from, the local place that makes my shakes every morning. But we did a highlight of their business and like we're becoming part of the community for that.
You got to touch on that too, because I think a lot of people who listen to this, and we'll see this from all over the country, they don't understand that, like, and I didn't understand it in fairness prior to us sort of partnering up, is like Maine buys Maine. Like, Maine is so local. Maine is all about Maine and staying with Maine, and you having an office right outside of Portland and Falmouth, and you stressing how important it was that it be in the right area for you and for your relationships. Yeah. Touch on that a little bit as it pertains to Maine.
For Maine, and I think a lot of Maine is a small community area. All the towns are small. Like, we sponsor all the local soccer teams and football teams, and our name is on all of that because we're promoting those. We help the local homeless shelter. We do all these things among the community because the more our name is out in the community, the more recognizable it is. We had to do a lot of rebranding this year. This is a brand new year. People knew Skylar Welch because I've been in the mortgage industry for a while, but people didn't know Maine Pointe Lending because we just made it up, realistically. Totally. So we had to do so much rebranding, and just getting the word out there. So that was why that marketing position was so important. But in so many local communities, and especially in Maine, you have to be so local. They don't want to work with someone that's calling them from Quicken Loans. Honestly, if a listing agent, I get so much business from listing agents that get a pre-qual from Quicken Loans, and they say, we'll accept your offer, but we're not accepting it with this on it. We'll only accept this if you call Skylar, because they know that we'll get the job done. They know where to find us. They know how to call me. They need local. They want to support local. There are so many groups, man, that are just like, buy local, buy Maine, buy local, everything. Yes, it really is. When I come
up there, I'm like, wow.
Yeah, it's very like small mom and pop.
It's great. Place. It's actually super community oriented. It feels great. Everyone's looking out for each other. Everyone's trying to support each other's local businesses.
And I think a lot of communities are like that. And I think it's important as a mortgage professional, like, put yourself out there, get involved in the community. I go to all the events. I get involved in all the networking events around the community, but also like go to the sporting events, sponsor your kid. You don't have kids, sponsor a little league team, like whatever. Totally. Get your name out there. The more recognizable it is, the more your logo's around people. Then for me, like so much of it was if a listing agent saw my pre-qual letter and they saw Maine Pointe Lending, like, I've never heard of Maine Pointe Lending. That's what you don't want. Yeah. So much of it at first was just getting the brand out there and getting it like,
because it's so local and people need to recognize
it's just Skylar. Okay, never mind. You know what I mean? But that's hard at first.
Takes time to develop
and I think a lot of you, even newer brokers, you need to get out there and get involved in everything. I mean, I've really pounded the pavement for so many years. And now I'm at the point where like, I'm at my desk all day because I have to be, you know, but it's at the point where it's like, okay, now we need to find, you know, make the hires to continue to get out into the community and start building more relationships and new relationships and broaden that area.
Yeah.
That's what we're planning on doing this year. That's really a big plan of this year is, you know, I feel like we do handle all of Maine and we do a lot of business throughout the entire state, but we're generally in Greater Portland, you know, so now it's just like,
expand the geography.
Exactly. And that's where I see a lot of our focus happening this year.
And, you know, I mean, you have New Hampshire, you have Massachusetts.
Florida.
You have Florida, of course.
And we're about to be in Vermont and Rhode Island.
Rhode Island. Delaware is also pending. So some of that local area up there is starting to hit. I know we're working on New York and New Jersey and some others for 2022. Some fun stuff to make Skylar really expand her geography. But she's a Maine gal. She loves Maine. She's all about Maine. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's where our community is, you know, and that's where my family is and where I grew up. And I'm from a tiny, tiny little island on the coast of Maine. So, I mean, like I grew up with like 1,000 people in my whole town.
No, it's so crazy.
I had 9 kids growing up in my class. I graduated with 35, and that was from the 5 surrounding towns. But that in itself teaches you so much about community. I mean, you know every single thing about every single person, and everyone
knows each other.
And everyone supports each other.
Yeah.
You know, so
that's awesome.
So even in my community that I'm in now, I mean, Portland is the biggest city in Maine, but it's still small, and everybody knows everyone. So the reputation has always been so important to me, and my reputation of my company, anyone that works with me, any way that I show myself, I want every single person to have the best experience, because having a great reputation is really what, you know,
it's everything.
It's everything. And especially in a small community like that.
For sure. You know, it's like so many people focus on money and profits. And it's like, I can certainly say that like you don't. You're more focused on the client having an awesome experience and them feeling great about it. And the money's just sort of secondary, right? It's just money follows success.
Right. And I think that when you look at your business like that and you don't look at it as a monetary amount, that's when you become successful. Yeah. Because honestly,
I totally agree.
If you give I can't tell you how many deals I've probably lost money on, to be honest with you, and not made a single penny on. But that business has tenfold, because last year I closed over 150 deals just from past client referrals, because those past clients had a great experience. They then referred me to someone else, and they then referred me to someone else, or I've now refied them 3 times and helped them buy their second home, their first home, their camp, and their mother's house. Like realistically, you know, I have one family, I've closed 26 deals for one family. You know, that's the sense of community you have to build, whether you're in a huge community or a small community. It's your clients become your community, and you have to take care of those, nurture those relationships, build those relationships, and take care of those. Definitely. And if you continue to do that, then you don't have to pound the pavement forever, because you've already built that
people know who you are, they know your reputation, and so you get business just off that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and I would say that Skylar taught me what you taught me sort of about the business. Is I was like, Skylar, you know, I'm a New York guy, born and bred, and so we were doing our average loan amount's like $490, and I was like, Skylar, what's up with this $100,000 loan? What's up with this $85,000 loan? I have to do it.
No, you actually called me and said, Skylar, we're not doing any loans under $125,000.
I was like, what is this?
And I said, Shah, we'll do all of them, because
she was like, this is why we have to do it, and it's for my community. And I was like, okay. She's like, this is a family friend of somebody I closed a loan for 4 years ago.
Exactly.
And I can't say no.
Right. It doesn't matter, you know, and that's the thing, because but you
we're gonna lose money on this deal, but it's okay.
But you also don't know what it's going to turn into. You know, and ultimately that's the thing, because the $100,000 loan could literally be, honestly, some of those are the most rewarding for me. Like, and I
they appreciate it.
I need things to fill my cup. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a grind every single day. So a lot of they're the most appreciative, and the people that need it the most and need the most help and are so grateful. Like, honestly, like some people that are trying to close, you know, I can't tell you how many times people are like, I make $200,000 a year. I don't prove anything to you. I'm like, dude,
that's not how it works.
That's not how it works. You know, and those are the people that it's like, you don't even want to help, because they think that they're so much better than we're. And I'm like, treat me like I'm like this peasant. I want to be like, No, you have to supply the same thing if you were buying an $80,000 house and if you were buying $1 million house. We have to provide the same documentation. I like helping the people that want it, that want to do whatever it takes to get into it, and that this is their dream, and sometimes it isn't.
Totally, yeah, for sure. Let's transition. I want to talk about like your team in general also. Like, I think one of the things I learned so much as I started to build Madison Mortgage is the gratification that comes with like hiring people and giving them a career and teaching them. And I say, you have a large team now, right? Including your processing, you're almost at 10 people, right? Yeah. You came over as 2, so you're 5x already in a year. So let's talk about that a little bit and sort of the power of team and sort of the fulfillment that comes and is aligned with sort of helping. I mean, we just hired someone who you knew who was happening to take care of your kids, a young girl out of college, and now you hired her to, to be, train her as an LOA and make her an LO. So talk about that aspect and like sort of what that's like daily.
I think it's always been something that's been really important to me because even like young in my career, I wanted to like, when I have something good in my life, I want to share it with everyone I love. Totally. So it's like if I wanted to figure out a way that I became successful by doing this. So how can I help? Like I see a friend of mine that is grinding every day, has young kids, making ends meet. How can I change your life? Like that's literally how I feel. Like I want to figure out a way to change your life. Like if I know that this works and I know that I can teach you to make this work, then I want to bring you in and help you. And I've done that a lot of times now.
Yeah. I would say everyone that's on your team, right? You've had a profound impact, not just financially. I mean, yes, but like giving them a path, like to show them a way to, be a professional.
And a quality of life. Like I think that culture is so important, and just creating this like team. We work together. It's a happy place to come every day. It's that's important too. Totally. And that's super, super important. And even at my old company, like most of the people there were people in my personal life because I brought them in and I saw something in them and I'm like, you would be really good at this. And they'd be like, I can't leave a salary of $60,000. Like, how could I ever do that? I'm like, I promise you, just take a chance. Yep. And now they're making $300,000-$400,000 a year, maybe more, because they believed in it. I saw something in them, but I wanted to change their life.
Because you helped them.
And now, like,
showed them something
so many times they've reached out to me and they're like, literally, I don't know where I would be without, you know what I mean? But it's just kind of seeing that, I guess it would be that drive in someone, or just taking that and just putting it in the right direction. Yeah. And I think as we build our team and finding more people like that you can change their life. Like that's what it's all about, is really.
It's like you decide the trajectory of your life. Like, right. And so it's like, the old adage, it's like you can't, you could lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Right. And it's fun when you find those people that really are incredible, and then you just sort of put them on a trajectory, and then you sort of see them flourish, and it's exciting. And I see that with a few members of your team specifically, and so it's really fun to observe that. And, for me, that's the juice a little bit.
Yeah, me too.
Sort of building.
Like I said, you need things to fill your cup. Like it's a grind every day. Totally. So it's like, how do we find
the
things?
Wins?
Right.
You need so those wins, right? Yeah. And it's like those wins really like it makes the. And when we say grind, like the grind is like this is a tough business, being a mortgage professional. Like it's tough.
And you can't ever turn it off. And I think that's what people do.
Right.
I know for a long time when I was first, as I was growing my business, a lot of people would like look at me and be like, oh, must be nice. Like you have this cakewalk of a job and you just go to lunch with realtors and you make all this money and this and that. And it's like,
no one really gets it. If you're not in it, you don't get it.
If only, but at the same time, it's like, you can't ever shut off. Your phone is always ringing. People are always needing something. Nights, weekends, first thing in the morning, no matter when, you can't turn off. Yep. So I think that, a lot of people think that it's easy and just try to jump in and think they're going to, do nothing, make all this money.
Oh, it's easy.
But it is a hard,
it's so hard
grind. And getting every single transaction to the table is not easy.
Yeah, there's like a million guidelines to know. The guidelines are constantly changing. You have borrowers calling you from every direction.
Yeah, borrowers, realtors. And you're really like the facilitator of everything. Yeah. Like constantly calling the appraisal, title, insurance, like everything.
Where to begin. And it's like building the system around that. It's like something you knew how to do. And like, we did together and it's fun and we're still building it, right? It's like never perfect.
And I think we make each other better.
100%.
And I think that there's so many ideas sometimes that like I just throw out ideas at you and you know what I mean?
You do.
But it's
great.
Right. But it's just because that's how I work. But I'm not like, then I need help executing them. And you're so good at that. So that's why I think we've worked so well. I always forget like our first conversation because I was remember I just pulled my driveway and you called me on my cell phone and it's like pouring rain. I'm staying in my car because I have 3 kids inside. And I'm like, I can't have this conversation inside. I remember my kids were like outside the car, like, and I was like, but we talked for like an hour and 45 minutes. Our first conversation.
We had every conversation. It was interesting.
I know. You literally call and you're like, I've read everything about you. I've watched every podcast. I've read every interview. I've listened to everything. And I like, what do you see? So, and I was like, what?
Totally.
I was like, what do you mean? Like,
it was cool. I did my homework.
Right. But I like that about it. I like that about it.
Yeah. The person who introduced us was like, hey, listen, there's this person and I know you're not into branches, but I think you should take a look. And I was like, okay. And I was like, I like her. She's cool for all the reasons you guys probably like her too. She's awesome.
Yeah. And then we met with our families and what I mean? I think that was so important too, because it's not just a matter of like it working business wise. Like we both have young kids. We both have like spouses that need to understand everything. And it worked out. So it was just like so easy.
It was Luna's birthday. I remember.
Yeah.
So it was so cool. We came up, the weather was gorgeous.
Yeah.
And it was just cool to, like family's really important to you. It's really important to me. And it was like sort of fun to like talk business, but start with that.
Yeah.
Right? Like the relationship building started with that. And so I think a lot of people lose that. And it's something that is so important as you're building sort of partnerships and working with people is like, get to know them. What are they about? Right? Like, I think people lose that focus a little bit. Like, learn who they are, what's important to them, and see if that's aligned with what's important to you. I think that's why
it worked out so well for us.
I think that's why we jam so well.
Right, because it just worked. Like, it clicked with our, like, I love your wife, and it works well with Brian, like everything.
And I love Brian,
right.
Exactly.
It was just like so, it was
fun.
It was so fun and easy, and that was honestly one of the biggest things for me because I came from such a family community in my last company that I was like, I can't just walk into like corporate coldness because I'm not corporate cold at all,
Totally. And for me to be like, to like partner up with somebody in Maine that's 5 hours away.
Just random, some random chick in Maine.
Random gal.
It was literally what it was.
But that's what's cool about it, right? And it's fun like when it works. And now looking back at it a year, it's like it's super awesome to, I feel so great about it, right?
I know, me
like
too.
I feel great about like where we are and where we're gonna go, and so.
And I feel like we have big goals. And we're going, and now it's just so much easier to make. You know what I mean?
To build, like having the initial scale makes it easier to build,
right? At first it's like figuring everything out. Like, and there were so many things I think at first that were like, oh, we didn't even think about that. We didn't even think about that. But we worked through all of those and we figured them all out. And now our day-to-day is easy, and everyone is just like, it's just more of like it
flows, and then we're like adjusting and tweaking and making adjustments.
And so much of the first year.
So that's a good suggestion, by the way, for anybody who's transitioning to another mortgage company, and we've done a bit of it, and we've added a lot of pieces, is remember that your primary focus in the first 120 days is to understand it's going to be bumpy no matter how good your transition is. There's a lot of figuring out that has to take place. And I think it was easy for us because we always communicated well. But I think just remember, if you're making a transition, the first 120 is going to be bumpy. Go in knowing it's going to be bumpy. As smooth as it is, it'll still be bumps because there'll be 100 things you didn't address. And so I think kind of why it worked for us was like you had a lot of great ideas, and I was really good at the execution component.
We had a checklist.
Yeah, so you would just tee them up and be like, we got to do this, and this. And I was like, okay, and we sort of knew how to attack that.
We did, and we literally set out what our goals were, set out what our list was, and what was
our focus for that month
crossing things off our list.
Yeah, exactly.
And for me, I didn't want to just jump into, because again, like I'm still the only one producing at Maine Pointe. I'm the only producer. So now in my first year, I wanted to be sure that our team was ready could handle more producers, or could handle more volume, or could I wanted to make sure every single person has a great experience.
Yep.
And I knew we weren't there yet. When we first started, we needed to build the team to be able to handle that. Yep. So,
and we needed to understand Maine, and we
right.
needed to understand
everything.
The dynamics of your business and how that worked.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of the synergies that we sort of figured out how to form, and like, what's the best practice? How are we going to do this? How are we going to approach each component
right.
of your process and sort of engineer our process to match that?
Exactly.
Right?
And now we're at the point where, like, now I'm like, okay,
let's go.
We can definitely handle more now, you know, and it's at the point where it's at the point now where I'm like getting frustrated of like closing the same units every month. And I'm like, no.
I know.
No more. Like, we're ready. We're ready to do it.
We're capped by, like, we need more opportunity.
Yeah.
We have capacity. We don't have opportunity.
Exactly.
So it's a spot you've never really been in before, right? It was always capacity constrained, opportunity plentiful.
So now we're at the point where we're ready.
It's fun.
And I'm ready, and our team is ready.
Let's do this.
Exactly. And now it's just, I mean, it's been a tough market this year. There's the inventory is so low. There was like compressed. 47 offers on every single house. I mean, I personally would be sending like 10 pre-qual letters per property listed as like cash, or, you know, none of your 10 were high. Yeah. You know, I remember so distinctly this one Sunday I worked all day and I sent 35 pre-qual letters and one went under contract. One. And I literally was like, you know, like, this sucks, you know, but it was a really tough summer and a really tough market because so many people were moving from New York, moving from Boston, moving from Connecticut, the influx of people in Maine, and people coming from New York buying a $500,000, $600,000, $800,000 house cash because that's cheap for them, you know, and they're like, what, I have 4 acres and 5 bedrooms and this is amazing, you know, realistically. So that's what we're up against is all these people coming from, we had a lot of people coming from the Bay Area in California, like Silicon Valley, like all being like, wow, I can live and have this bountiful amount of land and home for this price. Like,
and a good town and good food and good culture and good people.
Right. Like Portland area is so amazing. Like there's so many incredible restaurants and music and venues. And I mean, it's really, really cool. So
people figured it out.
Right.
And I think like with COVID changing the world and the way that people work.
Right. Because the work opportunity was what kept so many people away. Yep. And now that so many people can work remotely, everyone's just flocking there, but they're selling their houses in New York or California and they're getting cash and they're like, oh, just buy.
I joked about buying like a second home up there. I was like, I love it up here. And then before I knew it, the prices went, woo.
Right.
You know, so.
Yeah, it's
the whole country, there's inventory shortages everywhere.
It is.
Right?
So yeah, now it's just a matter of, you know, finding more opportunities.
Yeah, which we will.
We're ready.
All right. All right. So, well, thanks for joining us on this fun Madison podcast. We touched a little bit on us and our history. And so hope you enjoyed it. Hope you took a couple good, you know, pieces away from it. Skylar Welch, the one and only. So have a great day.